Rula again from Change Your Life Now. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the meridians. The meridians in our system, in our energy system, are beautiful electric currents that run throughout our body, and every meridian is connected to an organ in the body. So I'll start talking a little bit about the lung meridian. One of the things that I learned at a very early stage of my studies was that acupuncture was discovered, acupuncture meridians was discovered many, many years ago, thousands of years ago, in traditional Chinese medicine, when someone had a problem with his sciatica and he happened to be on a tree and he fell off and he ended up on a thorn which pierced his body and held a certain point in his body, and he realized, oh, that's helped my sciatica. You can't see meridians. And surgically, when you cut through the body, you can't see the meridians because they're energy centers, they're fields, they're electric currents that run throughout our body. And we are energy beings, we are electric beings. So the lung meridian is one of the meridians that is connected to the lungs. And it starts here in this point just below the sort of clavicle, if you like, the bone here. And it starts and it goes up and over the top of the shoulder, and it comes over the top of the arm, and it goes out over the thumb. That's the end point of it. The muscle that we use in kinesiology to test if there's any stress in the lung, for example, is the deltoid. So that's your deltoid here. And we spindle it and we check, we do muscle tests to see if there's any stress in the lung meridian. And then when we see that there's stress, the muscle will tell us it's got it gives us an indication that there's stress in the lungs. And then we go through our balance, trying to understand what is going on exactly. So the lung has to do with sadness, grief. And some of the things, I'll just refer to my notes here, to just give you an idea of what we're dealing with when we have an issue that shows up in the body regarding lungs. So for example, if you constantly have a cough, or you have a potential getting flu all the time and your immune system is weak, and one of the things that we explore is, what is the lung about? The lung is about sadness. It's about grief. And it's about a deeper understanding of sadness and grief from your childhood, something that you have carried in your unconscious mind that you're not consciously aware of it. And when we do a kinesiology session, we'll explore that, and then you'll suddenly realize, well, yes, I am sad. I lost my mom, or my family was having problems, or, my best friend left from school, whatever. It could be anything. And that grief is in the body, deep in the body at an unconscious level. Some of the issues are detachment from the parent. Children were sent to school at a very young age. Mums started working at a very young age, and the children were sent to daycare center. Gabo Mate talks about this a lot, is how detachment from the parent has created belief systems in children that perhaps they're not good enough and that they weren't loved. In hypnotherapy, we see that as well, that what comes up from the person's past is that mum went to work and I was left alone at home with the nanny, or I was taken to daycare center, and I decided, you're not aware of it, the belief that I wasn't loved and that I was just, sent to boarding school. And I decided in my unconscious mind that my parents didn't love me because they sent me away to boarding school. Another thing that comes up working with the lung meridian is letting go of something or someone from the past, living in the past, holding on to something that has, like a relationship, for example, or a home, or, that you're not able to let go of something that you're holding on to. And this can affect our breathing and our lungs. It affects, we ended up with coughs, we end up with constant flus and issues around the chest and breathing. So some of the symptoms include shortness of breath. So for example, anxiety brings on shortness of breath. That affects the lungs. So where does that anxiety come from? Anxiety is relating to fear, and fear of, whatever's going on, but fear is connected to another organ, which I can talk about at another stage. But that shortness of breath that we feel when we have anxiety and, stress, for example, it shows that there is stress in the lungs. So shallow breathing, you're only surface breathing, asthma, for example, breathing problems like allergies and coughing and sneezing, tension headaches. That's another thing that's related to the lungs. Losing your voice. Okay, that's more throat chakra stuff, but it's all connected to the breathing, and the lungs, of course, relating to the throat chakra and the heart chakra. Fatigue, constant fatigue, and that's as a result of not breathing enough oxygen. If you're only breathing in the surface, you're not breathing enough oxygen. Excessive crying, someone who cries, like I recently 2 years ago, I lost my mum, and my dad spent the last 2 years crying, and that was grief. That was grief and sadness that he lost his partner of 60 years. And crying is an aspect of the lung meridian, and it also weakens your immune system. So you end up having flu all the time, constantly getting colds. Your immune system is compromised, and often it's a really good idea to explore, if the lung meridian shows that there is stress in the body, explore what it is that you're deeply sad about, that you're deeply grieving. And through the various corrections that we do, we can give you an understanding and clarity. And it's often easier to let go of something that you've been holding on to at an unconscious level. Very powerful, very healing, and just helps us go through life when we become aware of stuff that we hold on to in our unconscious mind. Have a lovely day. Bye.